Hi, everybody. We're the Skeleton Crew, and today there's breaking news. And by today, I mean a couple days ago, but we could record today, so that's when we're recording. Really cool news in paleontology. I'll just come right out with it. There's going to be another Jurassic World movie.
Woo!
You may have already found out about this. If this is your first time hearing about it, yes, they're making another one. And no, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard do not appear to be coming back for the movie. There's very little that's known right now. And so this will probably only be a 2.5 hour Skeleton Crew video speculating about it.
There's not even a trailer.
Yeah, there's not a trailer. We do not even have seconds of footage.
We're really scraping the bottom of the bikini.
Yeah, but it's cool. So what we do know is that the script is going to be written by David Koepp, who wrote the script for Jurassic Park and for The Lost World. Not by Colin Trevorrow and Emily Connolly and an army of preschoolers who they had scribbled down their thoughts on crayon and cobbled them together using AI into a script for a movie.
Or two movies in the case of Fallen Kingdom.
Yes, 2 separate movies that were then stapled together.
You don't often get a 2-for-1 deal at the cinema.
Yeah, that's good. That's just a good deal. What are you complaining about?
Right. What I think happened for that movie is that they had 2 separate scripts, and it wasn't one and then the other. It was that the pages of them were stapled facing. So you have on one side of the page the script for the Volcano Dinosaur movie, and then on the other side of the page the script for the Haunted Mansion movie. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna be a short video. I actually mean that this time. And by short I mean it'll probably be sub 30 minutes. But we wanted to
short for us.
Yeah, it's short for us. And we wanted to talk about the fact that David Koepp is coming back, which is cool because he was the original screenwriter. Now, actually, this is something interesting, and I'm not going to belabor this, but Jurassic Park itself, for all the shit that I give the Jurassic World movies for having script writing troubles, Jurassic Park itself went through several script drafts before David Koepp wound up involved with the project. I think Michael Crichton wrote one full draft himself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they brought in a script doctor who I guess they decided they didn't like her work on it, and then they gave it to David Koepp. So it was kind of a complicated process. It wasn't. It was Malia, I think Malia Scotch Marmo, maybe Maria. Okay. I'm forgetting her first name. I've never really been clear on what was wrong with her draft of the script, but it just, maybe they were just like, this isn't what we want. So they got David Koepp involved. There were a lot of rewrites. It's not unique to Jurassic World. The fact that a script has been rewritten does not necessarily mean the movie will be bad. Sometimes it means they're trying to make it better. That doesn't seem to be what they were doing with Jurassic World.
So just a question. Sorry, did you say that he was the writer or the screenplay?
Well, yeah,
he wrote the screenplay.
Okay, he wrote the screen. Sorry, on IMDb they have those listed as 2 different things.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, it's actually possible they got separate credits because, like, I think Michael Crichton was credited for like story stuff. No, I might be wrong on that.
The reason why I'm saying that is because he was also I do not mean to disparage the man, but he also wrote the script for the 2017 Tom Cruise Mummy and Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. And
Dial of Destiny is kind of good. So
it's kind of good. Okay.
Yeah, still
haven't seen it.
And
also the original Mission Impossible.
Right.
Oh, no. Banger.
Yeah. Listen, not with screenwriters, I find it's very different from directors. Like, screenwriters, in my experience, tend to have wildly varying numbers of hits or not. I think because the script can be so elevated or detracted by the way it's directed and everything else is done.
He also did War of the Worlds.
Yeah, done. Excellent.
He's done a lot of very good movies, and he's also done some not so good movies.
Spider-Man, 2002 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And hey, you know what his scripts are all better than?
Yeah. Any of the Jurassic World movies.
Thank you for finishing the joke for me.
Didn't he write one of them?
No, he didn't write any of the Jurassic World
movies.
Oh, I thought you said
the closest thing he has to a Jurassic World credit is being credited in the video game Lego Jurassic World because the original screenplay of Jurassic Park is used.
I see.
So here's all that. This is one piece of information. The other piece of information, which is much closer to our little realm of the world, is that Steve Brusatte is coming back as scientific consultant for the movie, which is very exciting. For those who don't know, Steve Brusatte is a friend of ours, or some of ours. I've written a paper with him in the past. Alex, you have too, right? We've both co-authored with Steve.
No,
I thought
Steve and I talked about Taft.
Oh, you did, yes.
Slurrosaur stuff, but no, I've never co-authored.
Wasn't he on that
anything with Steve.
crocodile thing with like all the authors that you were on?
Oh, wait a
That's
second.
what I'm talking about.
So there are like 20 authors on that list. Yes, we all have.
Yes, Alex and I have collaborated with Steve. Steve's incredibly prolific. He's worked in a lot of groups. I don't think it's impossible that we'll all work with him at some point or another. And I mean, on a very personal level, I want to say Steve, in my experience, has been an incredibly nice guy, and he really helped me out personally when I was an undergrad. He basically said, if you do a study abroad program in Scotland, where he was working at the University of Edinburgh, where he's still working, he said, if you come over here, I'll give you a research project. We can make it a paper. You'll lead it. And so I did the study abroad program. I lived in Edinburgh for 3 months, and we worked on a research project that became my first ever publication. It was published while I was still in college. It was a huge leg up with application stuff. It's nothing on dinosaurs. It was an inner ear and brain endocast for a primitive mammal, which is kind of, I was kind of coming in at the early phase of when Steve was pivoting a lot of his research to mammalian evolution. And it's a cool paper, neat little thing. I learned a lot from it. I
guess our viewers might also know Steve because he has written, I think, 2 now New York Times bestsellers.
Yeah.
About kind of the rise and fall of dinosaurs and mammals. Mm-hmm. And I've only read the dinosaur one, but people say the mammals one is also very good.
I need to read the dinosaur, the mammals one as well. And also to back up James's point of him being very nice, he actually also reached out to me personally when I was laid off by the AMNH and said, like, basically, if you need anything, please let me know, sort of thing. And it was very, very kind, especially because I didn't feel like I didn't know him that well. And he saw my tweet about like, hey, I've been laid off because of COVID, and reached out to me apropos of nothing else. And I'm still very touched by that.
Yeah. And he was influential in the creation of one of the really kind of like big matrices in theropod evolution. So knowledgeable guy. If there's a guy to advise about dinosaurs in a movie, and also very, and I mean this in the best way, he's a normal dude. He's just a good normal human being.
So yeah, Steve is incredibly prolific. He's like, he publishes at a frankly insane rate. I don't mean insane in a bad way. It's just he's incredibly productive. Steve's background actually is really interesting. Like, I mean, this is stuff he's open about. I'm not spilling his secrets. But one of his first gigs that he ever made money from was sports journalism. I think starting when he was in high school, and I think he used it a little bit to pay for college, if I'm not mistaken.
Good for him.
And so what he always said he learned from that is like he learned the ability to just write really quickly. Like, you know, and I think this is something, there could be a long conversation about this. In my experience, a lot of academics treat writing as kind of like this weird mystical religious thing where you need to like isolate yourself from the world and do all of this sort of stuff. And what Steve seems to be able to do is say, oh, I need to write a paper. And he sits down and starts typing, and the paper becomes written, which is really...
God damn it, I wish I could do that.
It's a nice thing to be able to do. And Steve's like really good at it. And I think that's a huge part of why he's so productive, is just like when the data is there, he can write the paper. He's also got a lot of good statistical background, and weirdly, or not weirdly, but kind of unusually for paleontologists in this day and age, he works on a lot of different groups. Mm-hmm. Like he's been involved in research on, you know, most notably tyrannosaurs, I think, are what he became very famous for within dinosaurs, but he's worked on paravians, and he's worked on sauropods, and he's worked on basal theropods, and he's worked a little bit on hadrosaurs. Like, he's just so prolific. And so I think in terms of any individual person to have as a scientific consultant, he'd be like just, you know, among dinosaur researchers, he's one of the most broadly trained and most broadly experienced. But anyway, that's enough I guess that's enough of a preamble. I'm excited that Steve's coming back. I think his consultancy for Jurassic World Dominion does really seem to have come through in the finished product. It's not like they changed the design ethos of those dinosaurs a lot, but I know he fought for feathers to be included, and by God, they were in there, and that's a pretty big win.
Yeah.
And
I just want to say, I watched Dominion today as kind of a background thing when I was working on some stuff, and I don't know. I don't care that it's not a good movie. It looks really good, and you can see the effort that Steve put into it, that other people put into it for making the animals look good and also having a sense of accuracy. And the version that I watched is the extended one that opens with the prologue.
Oh.
And I'd forgotten how good it is. It's nice. It's not perfect. It's still stylized, but that's kind of what happens with artwork sometimes, is it gets stylized because that's something that you can do as an artist. And this is a franchise with a particular design aesthetic, and I don't know. I think it's great, And
I think it's worth saying that our review channel, we would not have the 8-10 really nice looking feathered theropods in this game if Steve hadn't been because that was they were not putting anything with feathers in these games until one of the movies was like, hey, they're going to be feathers. You figure it out. You got to put them in.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really I don't really like Jurassic World Dominion as a movie that much, but that's on a script writing angle. The dinosaur designs are clearly quite a bit elevated from what the other two Jurassic World movies have done.
Yeah.
And like Amelia said, I think that's got to just be attributable to Steve's influence on the final product. You're not going to get a seismic shift away from what they had already established. But we got feathers, and we got some fairly unknown dinosaurs, and we got good representation. I don't know whose idea it was. We got good wrists. I don't know whose idea it was to put Therizinosaurus in as a new kind of creepy villain dinosaur
thing in that movie.
That's a great idea. Right. So I'm happy Steve's coming back. I think I think this bodes really well for whatever this new phase of the franchise is like. And that's a good segue, because we have no idea what it's going to be like, and we are not going to continue speculating.
We all need to take we've got to transition.
So we know nothing about what this new Jurassic World movie is going to be like, and we're not going to speculate on it so much here because we just have really nothing to go on. But we thought it would be nice for all of us to go around and maybe just talk about one thing we want to see in this next phase of the Jurassic franchise. And so I vote we do this in the order we rank the animals in. So Amelia, what do you want to see? If you could choose one thing at all for these new movies to include in any respect, what would it be?
Well, I was thinking, I don't think there's anything in particular that I want to hope for necessarily. But I wanted to kind of continue the thought of the new direction that the last movie tried to go in, and then what we've been seeing lately in the video game itself, and the rumors that none of the characters are returning. I know one source called it a reboot, but we found from the original article that was written that wasn't a word that was used. So I don't think it's an actual reboot, a redo of the original story. But it sounds to me like it's going to be a completely different new story within this universe. And what I would hope is that they take that as an opportunity to refresh all the designs, because we're no longer in a situation where they need to call back to those characters. Characters being the dinosaurs themselves. We don't need the Jurassic Park T-Rex in there anymore. We don't need Blue in there anymore. We can just do away with all of those and move in the direction of the Nuzitoceratops and Therizinosaurus and Moros and all those other goofy little guys. Even Pyro, they could fix his face, and then it would be an amazing thing to have, So I guess if I had to say what I'm hoping for, it's that it is just a new story in the same universe, kind of with the same premise, but that they take an opportunity to learn from Frontier and learn from the designs that they've been releasing lately that I hope that they've been seeing have been getting really, really good engagement, both from the paleo community, but the general public too, because I know at least with the first Jurassic Worlds, I'm sure they were worried about how those kinds of depictions of dinosaurs would be received by the public, because no one's ever done it before. And that's a pretty big risk to take for a franchise like Jurassic World and a studio like Universal, for them to try something that had literally never been done before. But now, following Dominion, which, I haven't heard anybody complain about things being feathered among the general public. I want to be clear, because obviously the paleo community is happy that there's feathers. But I don't know. I would even go so far as to say, given that from what I've seen, at least for our channel, I don't believe that a majority of our audience is the paleo community as we think of it online. Like, I don't see a lot of overlap in usernames of people who are commenting and engaging with our videos that I see engaging in other spheres online. And they're all responding extremely positively to these new designs that, Frontier has released with feathers and up-to-date anatomy and all of that stuff. So I hope that it's just indicative of a broader message that people are interested in, not to be disparaging, but not just the nerds are interested in more accurate designs. Like, these seem to be things that people more generally are interested in, that museums nowadays are moving towards as well. And so the general public is more open to and supportive of new things like that.
Amelia's point actually really dovetails a lot with what I was going to say as well, and so I'm going to just use it as a springboard. Also, because I do go next in the order, so I'm not jumping out of turn here. But what I'm hoping for more than anything is that Universal lets this movie prioritize the science a little bit more. And what I mean by that is kind of twofold. Obviously, it would be great if we get like stunningly beautiful prehistoric planet tier like CGI designs of the dinosaurs, right? If they like don't look Jurassic franchised, but we say like whatever's going on, we're going to let them be as accurate as they can possibly be, right? And like, I'm not just talking about whether they have feathers, but like, we talk about the width of the dinosaurs' heads in the Jurassic franchises all having these giant boxy skulls, and like letting them be sleeker, letting them be designed more like we know the animals really looked in life. But what I really want to see and what I'm really hoping for is that the science becomes part of how they market this movie. Like, this was a huge thing that was talked about in the Jurassic Park, like the original Jurassic Park and the lead up to it, right? This whole thing of not only is it revolutionizing visual effects, but like this is the best possible at the time depiction of dinosaurs as we think they really looked and behaved. And the science has moved on a lot from that. But what I think people forget is that like Universal in 1993 was fighting the exact same kind of uphill battle of like not knowing if real accurate dinosaurs would actually resonate with the public. It was a choice they took to take that risk back then and to lean into it and say, not only are we going to present this, but we're going to have media about this, documentaries. There were so many tie-in things, little local news features about the dinosaurs. I would really like if they let the science, and I guess by extension, Steve, kind of take center stage with some of the marketing and promotion of this and let it stand on its merits, not just as a Jurassic Park sequel, but as something that's doing something interesting. I think that will, like, I just hope Universal A chooses to take that risk. But as Amelia said, I don't think it's as much of a risk as they might have thought. But B, like, actually lean into that and let the science come back to the forefront of these movies. My main complaint for the Jurassic World franchise in general has been that it feels like the science is very much just a kind of set dressing excuse for movies that are kind of just schlocky adventure movies. And I would like to see it brought back in more as a plot point, which happened a little bit in Dominion, but I would just like to see, a recentering of the attention on paleontology and evolution, genetics, science, all of that. Just letting the science take center stage in a very popular science fiction franchise.
Holy, we're going to have really similar opinions on a lot of this. But I'm going to go in a slightly different direction of not design wise, but behavior wise. I want to see some more accurate and more scientifically informed scenes and set pieces and stuff. I think that there is some untapped potential in showing the more accurate ways that we hypothesize that dinosaurs would have behaved in movies. And like, I think I mentioned in like our Jurassic Park special or something like that like I would absolutely love, and this goes hand in hand with more accurate like physical designs as well. Like I would love a scene, and yeah, it'll be a blink and you miss it scene, but a scene in a Jurassic Park movie or a Jurassic World movie in this case, where like characters are on like on a building with some raptors down below, and the raptors are able to get up to them by using wing assisted incline running and running up the side of a building or something like that. That would be a level of fun, like subversion of, oh, we're safe, they're down there, they can't jump and get us, that would scare the audience and also inform and also be scientifically informed. Or the main thing that is influencing me on this, I'll fully completely just say, the thing that I really hope that they do is hire Wobblyworks, that guy who does the really awesome animations on Twitter and YouTube every once in a while, specific with dinosaurs. Specifically, the video that I think of frequently when I think of like, what do you want out of like a piece of dinosaur media, is that one that he did. It's called Creature of the Night, of like it's like a first person survival horror sort of thing. If someone pops a flare, and we'll link it on screen, pops a flare and looks over, and there's like a raptor standing there in silhouette, and the way that it is framed, its motions, everything like that, is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen, while being very deliberately animally, I guess. Like, the animal isn't acting like a horror movie villain. It isn't being framed like it's a monster. It is behaving exactly like a curious but predatory animal would behave. And that in itself is terrifying. And I think that would be absolutely fantastic to lean more into the naturalistic side of how these animals would behave. It's like, we've definitely talked before about like T-Rex doing that creepy bird thing of staring at something and watching it die. In fact, we have fan art about it. Thanks, Zubin. That thing's awesome. I used it at a talk last week. But like, yeah, I guess that, and also I will have a pithy last thing added onto this is, the biggest thing is I really want the writing to be good. Please have the writing be good. I really don't care about how accurate the dinosaurs are. I want to have fun watching this movie.
Yeah. Scott, I don't. If you're done,
I am done.
So yeah, and I don't want to make this sound like it's in conflict with other people's desires, because I am looking forward to more accurate designs. But if like gun to my head, I don't really care as long as the movie's good. And I've been thinking about it as everyone's been giving their answer, and like, I think what I'd really like from this movie are like compelling characters.
Yeah.
Like a Sam Neill type character, and oh my god, I've forgotten his name because I can only remember Ian Malcolm's name.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, a Laura Dern. These people that everyone's like, oh, they're great. Like a big name that's known for stuff that's maybe not dumb. No disrespect to Pryor. Well, a little disrespect, but, and also like, I don't know. I'd want it to be a genre film.
Yeah, actually.
In that, like, maybe it's a mystery, a thriller. Everyone's like, oh, make it a horror. And I'll be honest, I don't think anyone can do it better than Steven Spielberg. And also, hot take, horror movies about, like, if you're framing it just as an animal, it's not scary. You have to turn it into a movie monster, at least in its behavior. It has to have, like, it just decides it wants to kill these people, and you can barely show it. So I don't really think that would be fun for a Jurassic Park movie, if it's like, because it's only effective if you barely ever see it.
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to do is it needs to be an exploitation film, and that means it's an R rating, and there's blood and guts, and it's kind of funny, but like, you can still be accurate, but it's just, it is balls to the wall. Like, people are getting disemboweled. Yeah, just nutty. And from there, and I think you can have fun with the characters from like almost like Tremors, except more violent. Yeah, just something like something that's not the original Jurassic Park, and it's not whatever genre the 3 Jurassic World movies are, which I assume are the dreaded action adventure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think their genre is like a wet piece of printer paper being waved in the wind.
So, honestly, Scott said earlier, the Dial of Destiny. Take the tone of the last 20 minutes of the Dial of Destiny. That's your movie. Where you're like, oh my God, no way. They wouldn't do that, would they? And you're like, oh no, they're gonna do that. And you're gonna have a great time. Yeah, it kicks ass. That's it. I just want to be like, what the most important thing in SciComm, like for quote unquote SciComm for a dinosaur movie, is that I can go to my friends and family that don't give a shit about dinosaurs and be like, hey, you should see this good movie, and not like people to ask me, hey, I saw 65 as dinosaurs in it. Should I see it? I'm like, no, it sucks.
Can I interject here, because I promised one of my lab mates I would incorporate a joke he made. That sure. He said this is my lab mate Josh Hedge. Josh is very funny.
I like Josh a lot. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Yeah, he does not watch our videos, to be clear. But he told me he was very disappointed that there was no buzz over 65 because it was such a piece of shit movie. Because he thought of a really funny joke that he thought would have gone viral on Twitter if people were actually watching it.
Oh.
And he said that 65 is proof that you can Adam Driver in a Jurassic Park way, but you can't Jurassic Park in an Adam Driver way.
It's not bad.
I don't know what that means, but I do agree.
I'm Dalton Meyer, and I think 65 really shows that you can't make a movie's title be a number, because then people will think they had to see the first 64, and that's why no one came to watch it.
God damn it.
I'm in line with Alex's opinion quite a bit, which is that I want there to be more accurate designs, and like with Steve on board, I'm sure there will be, and like it's going to be good for the design language no matter what. I don't care that much that they're like tremendous, like accurate. I want it to happen. I do. But like if there isn't a compelling way to get the new designs within universe, then I'm okay with that. My worst nightmare would be like, hey, this is a direct sequel to Jurassic World Dominion, but all the dinosaurs look different for no reason. That would make me so upset. It'd be bad. But like in terms of like utilizing this franchise for SciComm, which is something that paleontologists have the privilege of doing, because we get by the direct input of very few people in the field and no financial input from us, we have the opportunity to engage with the public in an enormous level, because people are interested in this and they find it cool and compelling, and then they go and talk to experts and learn more. And that's an amazing opportunity that we like shouldn't squander and shouldn't scoff at and like tilt our nose up at. And like more of these movies is only a good thing, and that's tremendous. And like that's one thing I want to say. But like in terms of what I want there to be more accurate designs, and I can think of 2 ways to implement this. What I really want is a compelling like story with kind of something to say. Like a movie like Jurassic Park had a couple things to say. Like Jurassic Park operates on several amazing levels. One is like, this is a movie about like the dangers of capitalism using untested science to like rapidly advance in pursuit of profits without care, while simultaneously telling compelling character narratives of like, hey, I'm going to grow as a person and like change from someone who doesn't necessarily want to have kids to like, now I'm more open to the idea, which I don't think is like a good or bad thing innately. Like I'm personally not interested in having children, but like I think it's interesting to see a character grow and change in some way or another.
Dalton.
What?
The remake is just Alan Grant unfollowing r/child free. That's the last scene. He goes on Reddit. He's like, I don't need this anymore.
But like Grant's character grows and changes. Like even Hammond's character grows and changes as he realizes, like he comes to realize the things that he can't control and the things that are truly important to him.
The best scene in the movie.
It's so good.
Where there's not a dinosaur in it, and it's just him and Laura Dern.
Yes.
The fleas.
Mm-hmm. The movie, I want it to have like a thesis and something to say, and so it should have good characters. And there's two ways that it can do this, in my opinion. And one is if it is just a follow up to Jurassic World Dominion, if it's not like any kind of reboot or whatever, that we can introduce more accurate designs and also like talk about things, which is that like do the thing that I thought Dominion was going to do more. And like I'm a dyed in the wool Dominion enjoyer. I like Jurassic World Dominion. But I do wish it had tackled more of the like, hey, dinosaurs are living in the real world now and they're like out there. And like engage with that, introduce new dinosaurs as actually new companies like making them. And the crux of the movie is about like how is the world like trying to stop this and like regulate, like we've got dinosaurs, we don't need to make any more. And like how are we coping with this? And that is that can be done as an allegory for like, hey, you know, we've known about climate change for like 50 years and we haven't done anything about it. And now it's actually a problem. And like, can we solve the problem or not? And like that's an actual issue that this movie can take a stance on, is like, how do humans solve the problems that we cause? Or alternatively, if it is a reboot, like that one site intimated, then you can refresh it with entirely new designs. I don't want to see like a bit for bit remake of Jurassic Park, but if you redo the premise of the movie, and instead of having it be people reacting, like instead of it being a survival like narrative of like, oh, we made this dinosaur zoo and now everything's failing. It's like, hey, we made this dinosaur zoo. It's starting to fail and we need to see what we can do to like make it not. Like, I think that would be a way to tell that story and make it fresh and not just a rehash of Jurassic Park. But I just want a good movie in the end, at the end of the day.
And I mean, say my glibness about the script of the Jurassic World franchise is basically, I mean, that's my primary concern as well. I think the only reason I'm interjecting now is that I think Dalton phrased a lot more eloquently what I was trying to say about like centering the science of like, I think that's what it should be trying to say something about. I don't know what it should necessarily be trying to say, but I think like a lot of that will inform a lot of the writing and the production design and also just the overall story. I don't necessarily care that it comes through in more accurate designs, but that like, it feels to me like of the 3 Jurassic World movies, only one of them really tried to have a scientific core to it. Right. And like Jurassic World Dominion, I will say of the 3, I think is the best. You know, like I think that
baffling.
No, sorry. Yeah. I don't like Jurassic World 1 at all. And I think Fallen Kingdom is worse. Fallen Kingdom is my favorite. Yeah, Fallen Kingdom is my favorite because I think it gave up on ever having anything interesting to say.
It is kind of one of them.
Fallen Kingdom is the most fun to watch.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to watch dinosaurs get like obliterated by an exploding volcano? Like, yeah, watch.
Want to watch a blood transfusion between a Tyrannosaur and a Velociraptor that somehow works?
As you might think.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it's insanely ridiculous.
Dogs can get cat blood once,
and then they die.
What?
No,
is it like a concussion?
You only get one? Then you can do a transfusion cross species like that in certain cases, and then typically like you can only do it once, and then they develop antibodies for it, and you can't do it again.
Oh.
But like, I don't think it's that unreasonable.
No, I don't think it is either. Yes, Alex.
You and I had an important movie going experience recently, and it's kind of reshaped in my head what a blockbuster film can be, which is Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Oh my god.
Alex, we can't talk about Brotherhood of the Wolf here.
If you just made the spooky, well, I don't want to spoil it, but the monster, a dinosaur, and it's just some random French village. Awesome.
Yeah,
do it.
You can't just have one dinosaur in these movies.
There's a bunch. Or
there are a lot of good ideas.
Top of my head, another great idea. It's a poster. It's a silhouette of a guy. The tagline is, the only message of this film is they must be destroyed. It's about Muldoon's kid killing every single dinosaur.
Okay, I'll see that movie.
Destroyed is the name of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. I have one thing I would like to say before we close out, if that's okay with everybody. I know we're a little bit over.
That movie sounds tight.
That movie does sound tight.
I have another point. I'll wait till you say yours.
Well, what's your point going to be? Because I think mine might be a good closer.
Yeah, and so like obviously we all kind of agree on what we want to see, and like I think like even though James and I opened this talking about the designs, like as we've kind of made clear now, like it would be a nice thing to have, but I think ultimately no matter what the dinosaurs look like, as long as it's a good movie, like I think it was Alex said, like, if it's a movie that you can, without embarrassment, tell your parents to go see, like, it's getting people in the door to the theater, which ultimately might get them in the door at the museum. And to me, like, that's the value of these museums. Like, I understand that it would be great if we had more, like, other companies making different dinosaur movies. Like, I really wish 65 didn't suck, because it would have been, it could have been another one. It could have been another franchise. It could have been another thing. But, like, ultimately, like, this is a franchise that people like, whether they're good movies or not, they are, don't cancel me, objectively as good / bad as the modern Godzilla movies, like the legendary movies. Like, they're the same thing.
We gotta cut that.
No, I don't give a shit.
Have you been on our Discord? We're gonna lose subscribers.
You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me.
I don't care. I'm telling the viewer.
They don't have to agree
let her
with
finish.
me.
Let her cook.
I'm just voicing an opinion. Like, the reason that, I want to come back to this, because there's so much overlap in the paleo community between paleo fans and Godzilla fans. And I think it's interesting that we, for some reason, hold the Jurassic World movies to such a different standard than we do the Godzilla movies. And I know that people are going to say, well, it's because they're real animals and it's real science. It's like, I understand that, but ultimately, you got to take a step back and try to engage with this media in a way someone who is not at all interested in dinosaurs is, because that's who is bringing in the billions of dollars at these theaters. It's not the paleo community. It is the general public, and so, and again, I guess just to kind of close out my point, which is, I think, all of our points, is that this is really good for paleontology as a community, as we talked about with our Jurassic Park 30th anniversary video. Like, this franchise has been, irreplaceable in bringing funding and attention and public interest to this field. Like, we would not have had any of the advances we've had in the past couple of decades if it weren't for this franchise. And that includes the new Jurassic World movies. Like, there are grad students of our generation that are in paleontology because they saw Jurassic World in the theater in 2015 or whatever it was. Like,
and sorry.
I don't buy into the thinking that I've heard a couple of times now that these movies harm SciComm. I think it's exactly the opposite, because they get people interested in these animals. They get people to look them up on YouTube, go to their museum, check out a book from the library, like, however they want to learn about these things. For the folks who are going to care about them, it is introducing them to new animals and to new things, and it is spurring their interest and their motivation, perhaps, to return to something that maybe they once thought about or once cared about growing up, and that they haven't thought about in a while.
Yes. And
yeah, Alex, you go ahead, and then
just to very quickly build off what Amelia said. I don't think it's a coincidence that after Jurassic World made like $2 billion, more accurate dinosaur documentaries were developed, because someone was like, hey, people will pay a lot of money for this kind of stuff. So
that's a pattern. We explicitly got Walking with Dinosaurs because of Jurassic Park. Right?
Yeah.
Explicitly, the pitch was, can we do Jurassic Park, but on TV as a documentary?
So that's it. Also, I think the 2014 Godzilla and Kong Skull Island are way better than any of the others.
Okay.
Sorry. I'll stop. I'll shut the
Can I please just... Yes, go ahead. Protect your image.
2014 is a different kind of movie. I was thinking King of the Monsters and Godzilla versus Kong. Like, to be clear, I do, and I've not seen Skull Island. Leave me alone. I don't want to see it. I'll see it when I see it. Don't tell me to see it. I know. I don't care. I'll get to it.
This is a disaster.
But anyway,
it's not that good.
No.
So I have seen it. I don't like it that much. But I like the 2014 Godzilla a lot. I feel like for me, it's a linear decline of every successive movie I've liked.
I agree.
But I want to close out by building on Amelia's point, and I just want to emphasize, I don't want to sound dire here. No, I really don't. But this is something that I think about a lot now, kind of as somebody who has been in the field for a little while. Of the Skeleton Crew members, I am, I guess, technically the furthest along in my career, because I've defended my PhD. I'm in a postdoc. I'm on the academic job market. Right?
I think Scott has you beat. He has a permanent job. And like a real title.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. So Scott actually has a real job, but in terms of PI positions, yes. Sorry. In terms of Scott, this is relevant to you too. No, I know.
I want the record to show I didn't say a word.
I know. Yes, you just you made the same face you were making in that picture we were talking about before we recorded tonight.
You just can't let him get too big. Got to cut him down.
No, I'm sorry.
Jesus.
But listen, what I am saying is that I have competed in a job market that's very different from the one Scott's been competing in, because Scott is on the fossil preparator market. I've gone through several rounds now of the academic PI job market, right? This is where you get new labs from, where you get new researchers from. I know Dalton's going through it right now, so I'm sure that he has some insight that he could share on this too. When you are on these job markets, right, you are not competing only with other paleontologists, right? A job gets posted for a systematist or for an evolutionary biologist or for a sedimentary geologist or for an organismal biologist or a biomechanist. And you're competing with a large pool of other researchers and other specialties, and you have to convince the university why they should hire you. That answer is partially your publication record and the work you've done. And that answer is partially how will you help raise money for the school or museum that you're working for, right? And that comes in through federal grants, and that comes in through private donations, both direct donations to your research program and alumni donations. And one of the best things that paleontology has going for it in a field where we're not curing cancer or, necessarily producing these kinds of direct benefits toward people's lives is that people like dinosaurs, right? When a university has an active paleontology research lab, you stay in the news. There's a lot of attention. Yale is an institution that's benefited a lot from like incredibly wealthy alumni donating money that winds up benefiting the science and the institution as a whole. You get these large federal grants when the federal government thinks investing in paleontology is something our taxpayers actually want us to do and has scientific merit. I think vertebrate paleontology has a little bit of a tendency to engage in the old aphorism about the crabs in a pot, right? Which, if you haven't heard it, is just that as the crabs try to climb out of the pot, crabs try to climb out by grabbing onto the legs of the crabs that are higher up than them. And what that winds up doing is creating a situation where none of the crabs is able to get out because they pull down on each other. And I think that there's a little bit of a tendency to say, well, okay, the Jurassic World franchise has already demonstrated it can't do good depictions of dinosaurs. We should let it die and just wait for something new to come. And while I would love to see more media franchises that are dinosaur focused, I think that that is not the right attitude to have about this kind of stuff, specifically because a successful Jurassic Park movie makes a bunch of donors to, if you're a wealthy alum of a university, you might say, that school I went to in undergrad has a cool dinosaur research lab. Maybe I should consider giving them something. Or it influences grant giving agencies to start funding our research better. And when you're trying to hire, or when you're trying to get a job as a new paleontologist, being able to point to the amazing potential of paleontology to reach a wide audience, you have a much better case to be made for why you should be able to join the ranks of that institution. Amelia mentioned that there is, a huge audience for these dinosaur media franchises, right? Billions of dollars for the Jurassic World franchise. I think we can confirm that the paleo community alone is not what gave billions of dollars to the Jurassic World movies, because if it was, we would have billions of dollars right now.
Prove us wrong by subbing to our Patreon.
Right, subscribe to our Patreon. Right, that money didn't come from dinosaur fans, like Amelia said. It came from a lot of normal people who went to go see a movie they thought they would like. And the best thing we can all hope for is that every piece of dinosaur media will be good and will resonate with people and will, not just inspire people to explore the science on their own. I think that's a worthy goal. But that anything that keeps dinosaurs in the consciousness, as mercenary as this might sound, it all benefits our field, because it means that there will be more opportunities, there will be more pieces of media, there will be more jobs, there will be more funding, and there will be more research. Yeah. Right? The thing that Jurassic Park did that is so important for a lot of us is that it enabled all of us to have the jobs we have right now. Probably.
which is
right. Scott, maybe notwithstanding, because your job would be required at the MCZ no matter what. But in a world without world without Jurassic Park, I don't know. Does the MCZ maintain its fossil collection, or does it do what Princeton did in the 70s, where it decided that wasn't worth having anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like these are real phenomenons that have happened. And as people growing up in our generation, it's easy to forget that there was a time not that long ago when a major university decided we don't want to have a fossil collection anymore. This is not worth the effort that it takes to maintain it. Right now, Princeton's reversing course on that now, which I think is a wonderful decision. But that was a thing that happened in the late 70s or early 80s.
Yeah.
That's not a long time ago.
I mean, all James is trying to say is, if you don't support the Jurassic franchise, you are preventing us from getting jobs directly.
Yeah, well, no, not directly, but it is. And like, listen, you can have your opinion on whether or not the movies are good. I certainly I think it was a good thing for the field that the Jurassic World franchise exists. I don't personally like the movies very much. Like, I don't go back and rewatch them the way I rewatched the Jurassic Park and the immediate sequels to that. But them existing was good. Like Scott said, I believe Prehistoric Planet went into development shortly after Jurassic World was released.
That was Alex's point.
That was Alex's point. I'm sorry.
His was about walking with dinosaurs.
Right. But I think it was the same thing. I don't. That is my understanding of when that documentary started its development. These things are correlated. This is a large system, and their attention and money are a part of it, and they're always going to be a part of it. We need to consider that when we think about what the best strategies are for our field. And I think that's an important thing to consider. This
Absolutely.
Movie existing is a win for our field, even if it is not a win in helping communicate to the public directly what dinosaurs would have looked like. I think it might be a better one than some of the prior movies, and I think that would be a great thing. Yeah, we hope it will be. Selfishly and not selfishly, I'd like to see some accurate dinosaurs on screen, but if it's not that, it's okay. Yeah. It's still serving the function that it needs to serve, and it's helping all of us. Yeah.
Which is that it's making people aware of these animals, basically. Right. And like, as bad as they are, they're not, as long as they're not as bad as 65, we're kind of still in a pretty good spot. Yeah. Like, all things considered, the Jurassic World designs are not that bad.
And this thing comes out in 2 years?
Theoretically.
It might be in 2025.
It's going fast.
To viewers of our channel, go to Make a Friend. Bring them to the movie. Ask that person you like out on a date to a dinosaur movie explicitly, and then tell them to like and subscribe to our videos. Do this with everyone you meet. Tell everyone to do these things, and you will be rewarded. Yeah. Not directly from us, to be completely clear, but in a cosmic way.
And members of the paleo community, you've given billions of dollars to Universal. Consider giving us billions of dollars on our Patreon.
We will even settle for $1 billion.
Well, divided 5 ways, so we need $5 billion.
Okay.
Right. 1 billion each. So this is a good segue for the last point I want to make, which is that we have a Patreon. And we thank our Patreon supporters for all of the support that they give to the Skeleton Crew. We really could not do this without that kind of support. I think it's something that we've mentioned a little bit now, but it bears repeating. We are professionals in our fields, and we are not full-time content creators and don't have plans to become full-time content creators. Right? This is stuff that we do because we're passionate about it. The support we get from Patreon and, the ads that run on our YouTube videos just kind of help enable us to take the time we need to take to make these videos and to make them good. And so we really thank all of our Patreon supporters. All of your names are going to be scrolling in the credits right now, but we want to specifically thank our most generous patrons who, at the time of recording, are Benjamin Seepser, nickname 3110, Philip Fico, AK92, Christopher Bellis-Jones, Adam Olos, Dan O'Kyrus, King Zashu, Lax Fishin, Max Ironpaw, original username, Pythonic, and Wheat. I'm not choking up there. I'm sorry. I'm getting acid reflux. I think we've been recording for too long tonight. But seriously, thank you guys for everything. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Please comment with what you want to see out of the new Jurassic World movies. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We're going to be covering this as close as we can on the channel throughout the development process of the movie. We can't wait to see the trailers and see what Universal with David Koepp and Steve Brusatte and everybody else who's involved with the franchise is going to bring to us. I'm really, really excited about it.
Indeed.
Indeed.
All right.
And with that, we're going to go to bed.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.